For most of my life, I had a relative overseas in Venezuela working as a missionary. He came back a few years ago and was saying that he had to flee being accused of capitalist propaganda. It reminded me of college when two girls posed as international students and spoke to the class asking if we had relatives overseas. Republican, but they believe what they in God, and they just yoke it to what they already believe, like God is pro-slavery or God is pro-capitalism, like it's a Republican thing, really, but he's genuine with his faith, whatever. And then the teacher kicked him out and told me the next day that they didn't go to our school. She didn't know who they were. Actually, they had lied to her. And then a news story broke about a year or two later about a CIA school being shut down, or a missionary school being shut down because they had worked with the CIA. And a few years later, he did leave. And then in 2013, a coworker of mine said I had a relative overseas working with the CIA, and I was like, "What does she know? Why is she saying this?" So I listened to her, went over to her house, and she was like in contact with Anonymous or somebody trying to get Donald Trump pretty much elected, but she wasn't saying it. She was just saying Hillary Clinton's part of the deep state, and everybody's part of the deep state. Pretty much, they had already vetted him and knew about the Access Hollywood tape, knew about his Stern interview where he bragged about watching in on underage girls and dressing at his beauty pageants, and now he had the Costa as DOL, and is who got Epstein off for running child trafficking out of Trump properties. And the only policy he seems to care about is child separation. It's very disturbing, and he is a bad man. And all we've been trying to figure out is it an active asset for Russia or a useful idiot? Oftentimes, the way he behaves, it doesn't really matter. It accomplishes their goal, like lifting sanctions, denying the Russian attack, calling our media fake, and then telling Putin trying to equate it to him killing journalists. Why he does it, like it's sick. He makes little propaganda videos for North Korea too, when he legitimizes them and says Otto coming back home was a great success, when really he was dead. He had been tortured to death. Like his parents had to speak out. Like, this man is a monster, and so are his followers. And she had mentioned to me though that, and it really went down a rabbit hole of the 2016 election pretty much, but it seemed ridiculous because she was talking about chemtrails and flat earth and all that BS. But that's the misinformation they mix in with sophisticated and specific political knowledge and future events. And I noticed that it was two things that add up. A psychic or somebody would speak very generally when getting so specific, and then looking for the information, I hadn't came across anything like it before. But personally, I don't know, like missionaries could be sending people off with, pro-capitalist, beliefs, but they could have existed before they met them. But at the same time, like, I know what the Bible says, and Jesus said, give everything to the poor. Like, a rich man has a camel going through a needle's eye chance of entering the kingdom of God. And at Christmas dinner, he did say, well, it's like this. If everybody in the world had $100 in 100 years, the rich would have their money back because they're harder workers. That's not scriptural. That's not science. That was propaganda. And I don't want a dictatorship, but if we had all these people not yoking their racism or homophobia to God, like, that would be great. Because again, they don't understand politics. They don't even understand the Bible. It's all just racism to them. And if they can twist something to support it, then that's their real idol. And that's what Russia takes advantage of. And they try to create lone wolves and just bad actors and amplifiers, disinformationists, hackers, money laundering. Like, they seem to have a wide range, and they speak very vaguely, but they have an agenda. And Trump, operates much like this. Like, his meetings with Comey demanding loyalty. Like,